Ayd with you. And we got a lot to get to. Really, really good stuff today. Really a loaded show. I mean, just so much to talk about. First things first. Let's start with the. I mean, there's so many places you could start. There really are. I mean, there's so much going on in basketball. The Mets are playing better. I mean, there's a lot of different places we can start here today. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's start with the New York Knicks. So you're saying, well, wait a minute. They're not playing anymore, Gary. Well, here's the thing. The more the Heat just completely embarrass Boston, the more you look back and see how completely they embarrassed Milwaukee, the more you realize, man, the Knicks are better than we thought. The Knicks at least made Miami work a little bit, right? Because it seems like Miami, which is just like, it's another story. We'll get to that in a second. But Miami's been buzzsawing their way through the Eastern Conference playoffs, right? That's the bottom line. And the Knicks were the only thing that cut like a hide of beef versus warm butter. I mean, Miami had no problem with Milwaukee. Miami's having I think they're bored against Boston. I mean, forget having a problem. They're bored. At least they knew they played the Knicks. At least the Knicks were there. At least they won a game or so. Like, at least they were competitive. Man, this Boston team is zero. What an embarrassment. And I got one more thing to say about that. We're going to take 1 minute, and then we're going to come right back. I got one thing to say about this. Back in 1 minute.
It's driving.
Town is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
All right, so sorry about that. I literally needed to chase one of my cats away. That's why we took sort of an emergency break there. Okay, so look, the Miami Heat have rolled through everybody, but the Knicks gave them at least a game, right? So why are Knicks fans, and I'm going to keep harping on this. I know. Why do I keep bringing this up? Well, it just keeps going on and on. I've seen the Knicks trading for everybody. I've seen them trading for Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal. I've seen them trading for Kristaps Porzingis again. Haven't we seen that movie before? I mean, and it's just Randall's gone, and they're going to move Barrett in this deal, and they're going to fire Thibodeau and bring in Jay Wright in this move. Stop. If you were going to rank all the Knicks coaches in franchise history, if you're being responsible about it, there's no way Tom Thibodeau is outside the top 5. If you're being honest. And by the way, that's not to say that Thibodeau has had this unbelievable run of success with the Knicks, because obviously he's only been here 3 years and he had one losing season in there. I get it. It's not been that rosy. But by comparison, it's been amazing. Right? I mean, that's the thing. So let's just run through them real quick. Red Holtzman's number 1, right? I think that's pretty obvious. Best, most successful coach in team history. Fine. Pat Riley's probably number 2, right? Okay. Maybe Jeff Van Gundy is 3rd there. whoever the coaches were throughout the 90s. It was mostly Riley and Van Gundy through most of their success, their best years in the 90s, right? So those are three. You want to say Mike Woodson? Maybe. Okay. I think him and Thibodeau are basically tied, right? So just choose the one you like better. You like Woodson better? Fine. Put Woodson there fourth. Thibodeau's fifth then. Or you could flop it and put Thibodeau in fourth and Woodson in fifth. There, I mean, where else are you going to go? So to sit here and start firing Thibodeau, start trading all these players when you're the only team in the Eastern Conference that gave Miami any kind of series, when you're coming off your best year in 12 years and you're at least your second best year in almost 30 in 25 since they went to the finals in 99. I'm sorry, that's lunacy. Like, that's not how you build on success. That's not how you build a team. You know, you build a team, you add to what was already working. It's not the time to blow things up. You want to bring in Porzingis? I actually think he can fit this team. Fine. Does that mean you want to trade? Would I trade Obi Toppin, a draft pick, and a salary, say Fournier, and maybe throw in quickly to make that deal happen, or another piece if they don't want quickly, or if we can get away with not including him and Toppin? Yeah, I would do that. But am I trading RJ Barrett? No. Like, now if you say, well, you get Bradley Beal, I think Bradley Beal's awesome. But I got to tell you, I don't think it's worth the lost continuity. Is Bradley Beal better than RJ Barrett? Yes, he is. But he's a lot older. I think Beal's approaching 30. He might be 28 or something like that. I'd have to look it up. But he's a number of years older, and he's not a homegrown Knick. And honestly, continuity is something that this franchise has had zero of, really none, since the 90s. They've had one or two playoff years where they, randomly made a playoff here or there. 2012, they won the one series. This year, they won the series. But when was the last time you had, let's just go 4 or more years, 3 to 4 years of sustained playoff relevance with basically your own core, the same core? You'd have to go back to the mid-90s for that. And continuity is such a big deal. So I personally would not trade RJ Barrett for Bradley Beal purely for that reason. I think they're close enough in productivity. Barrett had a great playoffs, particularly against Miami. He was one of the only two guys that produced. I would rather keep Barrett than get Beal for the sake of continuity, and they're close enough in production, and Barrett is much younger, and he's my guy. Yeah, I'm not saying you stay pat. Continuity has its limits. You have to improve the roster. You have to add talent. I do not believe, as presently constructed, this team is talented enough to win more than they did. I agree with that. But I don't think they're that far off either. You bring in another productive player. I think Kristaps Porzingis is an okay option. You bring him in, and you lose Toppin, who's a waste. You trade one of your draft picks. You got enough of them. And you throw in another piece. It's Fournier. Maybe it's Grimes, whoever it is. Make the money work and make it attractive enough for Washington to pull the trigger. You do that. And now you have a starting lineup of, let's say, Brunson, Barrett, probably Grimes, Randall, and Porzingis, with Robinson off the bench. Or if you want to go big, you can put Grimes on the bench, move Porzingis to 3, Randall, and Robinson. It's a really good group. Let's do that, okay? Or bring in another wing player, a D&3 guy. The point is, iterate, add to the roster, tweak it, upgrade it. Let's not blow it up. It's not time to blow it up. Clearly, they gave Miami much more of a hard time than everyone else. Speaking of Miami, we're going to talk about them a little bit later in the show. But coming up next, you have the question of the day. And then we have more Knicks stuff. Something else I find just unacceptable. I have to tell you, the more I watch this fan base, the more I think, and more, not even the fan base, more I watch the New York media and the purported fans on social media, the more I question why anyone would want to play for this organization, even if they're going to be competitive. And Melo's a perfect example of that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But next up is the question of the day. This is the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Coffee lovers, Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to radioonlydeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's radioonlydeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. Radioonlydeals.com. That's radioonlydeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
MLB teams are working to eliminate the bandwagon effect. Back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
I've got a unique vacation idea for you that's right here in the United States. If you're ready for a vacation that's fun and downright affordable, listen up. It's driving distance for many of you, so no planes, no airline delays, no hassles. It's Branson, Missouri, the entertainment capital of the Midwest. Live music for everyone. Branson has 3 beautiful, enormous lakes, water attractions, live shows, great food, and tons of entertainment. It's a perfect vacation for you and your family, or if you're retired and you want to have a great time. And you can stay in Branson for as low as $99 a night. Please understand, this is not a timeshare offer. It's a real vacation for as little as $99 a night. We've got a free vacation guide we want to send you right now. All you have to do is call for complete details. Get your free Branson, Missouri guide right now by calling this number.
800-284-0523. 800-284-0523. That's 800-284-0523.
MLB teams are employing the use of collaboration software to eliminate psychological barriers in the workplace. The software has been used by Disney and Microsoft to eliminate workplace obstacles such as the anchoring bias, groupthink, uneven power dynamics characteristic of leadership hierarchy, and the bandwagon effect. Andrew Ball, assistant GM of the Houston Astros, introduced the software to his team's front office. He says its anonymous assessment strategy helps mitigate bias in decision-making. Question: which psychological barrier do you believe to be most detrimental to a team's front office? Groupthink or the bandwagon effect?
You know, it's really interesting. Those are two things that all teams fall victim to. And the irony is, I don't think this software will do anything to rectify that, because it will be implemented via groupthink and will be distributed via the bandwagon effect. And it's just going to perpetuate the same problems, because I guarantee you it finds the same or similar biases or whatever it's looking for in all the other places. And all it's going to do is be another robot thing to basically inform the uniform, homogenistic decision-making that permeates so many big organizations, which MLB is certainly one of. You know, the Astros are going to do it. Oh, they've been winning. You know, they're such a good organization. Let's do that. What's that called? Oh, the bandwagon effect. And then all of a sudden, there's 28 teams that are using it, and 1 or 2 won't use it, and they're getting strong armed. Oh, these guys are behind the times. They're in the Stone Age. They're heathens. They are reveling in their unspoken and unconscious biases. What is that type of strong arming by the majority versus the minority? Oh, that's called groupthink. You don't think this is going to happen? I'm telling you, this is exactly what will happen. This is exactly what will happen. And it's like, so I don't care what the software does. It absolutely is going to basically just perpetuate those two problems. Because here's the reason those two problems won't be solved. In order to avoid groupthink, you have to be willing to go against the group. You have to be willing to take a stand and say, no, I am going to do my own thing. You know when I would believe an organization is doing their own thing? When they publicly say, the hell with analytics, they make the sport boring, and batting average does matter. Or when they say, you know what, he's a darn good pitcher, he got overpunished, he's been made an unnecessary victim, I'm going to sign Trevor Bauer. When an organization will do something like that, that tells me they're thinking on their own terms, that they're acting on their own independent thought. But when every team is, trying to raise the number of X participation in the sport, or they're trying to raise the percentage of X number of true outcomes, or they are looking to increase the exit velocity by Y%, when they're all doing the same thing and no one is repudiating it and saying, no, we're going to go in a different direction. That tells me that groupthink has hold. It tells me that everyone followed someone down the bandwagon. Now it's groupthink, and groupthink bullies individuality, and individuality is afraid to stand up, so you perpetuate groupthink. This is how bureaucracies work. This is how corporate fear works. This is how groupthink works. All this software is going to be in the hands of people like that, organizations and cultures like that. All this is going to be is another confirmation bias tool used to reinforce the great wisdom of the group, and used to reinforce the fact that once the new shiny object comes out, you better get on board. You better jump on the bandwagon, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind. What do you think's happening on a larger scale in society with ChatGPT and AI? All these companies that are now pouring in untold amounts of money in marketing, operations, C-suite meetings, raising all this capital from investors and doing all this stuff. Does anyone remember what happened with the metaverse that was just shuttered after they dumped untold billions and maybe trillions into it? Not just Meta, but like the broader ecosystem around it, and to an extent the economy at large. How many companies were talking about, oh, we got to buy our real estate in the metaverse? Think about that. Now it's gone. That is the greatest real recent example of the dangers of groupthink and of bandwagon hopping. They had no idea. There was no business model behind it. There was no obvious consumer demand for it. There was no clamoring on Main Street like, oh man, I got to get myself a house in the metaverse. Or did you see that new store that opened up on Street Y in so-and-so's metaverse? Oh man, I used some Bitcoin to buy this fake sandwich in this fake world on the line, and it was amazing. No one said that because it was stupid. So consequently, it went away, but it didn't go away before countless millions and billions and all kinds of quote unquote experts and talking heads poured God knows what into it. For what? It was made up. The product itself was made up, and the demand, and I won't even call it business, the money around it was all made up. It was all fabricated. It wasn't real. That right there is bandwagon jumping. Someone had a buzzy, shiny new object, and they knew enough wealthy people, influential people. They got a few of them on board. Now no one wants to be left behind, so you get the bandwagon effect. This software for baseball is going to be the same thing. I guarantee it. ChatGPT and this AI stuff is going to go this way too. people are not going to use basically chat bots to do their main important work unless their company's forcing them to do it. Think about this. Think of it this way. When was the last time you went on a live chat that didn't have a live agent and had anything other than a really basic question and didn't just type the word agent? When was the last time you called up an automated system? That's AI. When was the last time you called up an automated system and had it A, understand you, and B, you didn't just say agent or hit 0 100 times in a row? When was the last time you did that? Probably never. Unless you just had like a real basic question. And then even then, you didn't talk to it probably. You probably hit the key commands because when you talk to these things, they think you're talking Chinese. When you're talking English, you'll say balance and they'll say, I didn't understand you. Are you looking for the new upgrade on your phone? No, balance. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get that. Were you talking about your cable? No, balance. You sound familiar? We've all done this. So instead, you key things in. If that's AI, and it is, it's been around a long time. First of all, it's not new. Now it's just shiny, and it's not very good, right? This software in baseball is going to be exactly that. It's not going to be useful. Everyone's going to use it. It's going to make a lot of money. The founders of it, the company is going to make a ton of money. Everyone's going to say it has to be had. And if you don't have it, your Ebenezer Scrooge. You're going to be left behind. It's going to be like the automobile, replacing the horses. When was the last time that even happened? When was the last time a new technology completely replaced an old one? When was the last time that really happened? If you really think about it, we still have fax machines. Probably the closest thing that we've seen that happen to is probably payphones being replaced by cell phones. You still see them every once in a while, but for the most part, that's probably the best comparison. You still got plenty of landlines. Cell phones didn't replace landlines. Now they took a big dent out of them. They certainly reduced their market value and what you pay for them, and it certainly greatly reduced their usage, but they didn't eliminate them. Businesses all over the world still have landlines. Heck, the debit card didn't even eliminate the check. I was in the grocery store the other day. Someone was paying for groceries with a check. For groceries! When was the last time a new technology completely replaced an old one? Like I said, probably the most recent thing is cell phones replacing payphones, right? For the most part. But even those are still around. But that's the closest thing. So every time something comes out, oh, it's going to eliminate this. It's going to change that. If you don't know this, you're not going to be able to do that. We hear this all the time. Remember when laptops were going to replace desktops completely? Remember when tablets were going to replace smartphones and laptops? Remember all that stuff? None of it happened. The ecosystem is not a self-cannibalizing thing. It is a ever-growing pie. It's not, if I eat 3 slices, now you only have 5 left because there's only 8. The ecosystem is a pizzeria. It makes more. It has a farm, so you can always get new supplies. And when you bring in new things to the market, you bring on new farm animals onto the prairie, they integrate, and now you got more choices. They don't just go in there, like, you don't bring on a line that eats all the cows, right? You bring on one line, it'll eat some cows. But then the cows form herds and protect themselves, and they self-perpetuate. This software that baseball is going to be using is exactly going to be the same thing. It's going to get used. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to solve any groupthink process or it's not going to solve any bandwagon. It's going to be another tool used to perpetuate those problems, not solve them. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We got more to get to. Carmelo Anthony retiring. What the Knicks should do about it. That's next. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, so Carmelo Anthony officially announced his retirement today from the NBA after 19 seasons. He scored just under 30,000 points for his career. He is one of the best scorers of all time. And he was a guy who wanted to be in New York, who wanted to be that guy, who wanted to lead the team. Didn't get as far as maybe they wanted to or would have liked. But this was a guy who was a very productive for a long time Knick, a great individual player, right? Certainly a great scorer. Yes, he had his limitations. He didn't evolve. You always got the feeling he could be better. I'm not going to whitewash his shortcomings. But I'm also going to acknowledge his greatness because Carmelo Anthony was great. Carmelo Anthony was a better individual player than Jalen Brunson is. He was a better individual player than, I would say, Klay Thompson. He's a better individual player, I think, than even Steph Curry. This is a great individual player. And Knicks fans just don't want to give him his due. You look at any polls online, and the question is asked, should they retire his number in New York? And the overwhelming answer is no. And my answer to that is, well, if not Melo, who? Like I said with Tom Thibodeau at the opening, there were not 5 players in the history of the Knicks that were better than Carmelo Anthony. I'm sorry, there's not. Just because he wasn't on a team that happened to win a championship doesn't take away from the fact that he's one of the 5 best players the team has ever had. Want to go through them? Let's go through them. The names that are worth considering: Walt Frazier, Willis Reed, Patrick Ewing. Besides those 3, who else is definitely better than Carmelo Anthony? Who else is even arguably equal to Carmelo Anthony, who was principally a Knick? You want to say Bernard King? Melo was more healthy. He was more productive for a longer period of time. But you want to say King? Fine. Go with Bernard King. You can't go with anyone else. Brunson's been here 5 minutes. Melo's better than him anyway, but you know, the population loves this guy for some reason, so they're gonna probably give it to him. But it would be irresponsible right now, especially based on the length of time he's been here, to do that. I think even most Brunson fans would acknowledge that. So, okay, Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, Patrick Ewing. And I would even argue that maybe Melo was better than Frazier, but okay, because of what they accomplished in his time there, we'll say Frazier. We'll say those three are all better Knicks than Melo. There's no way there's two more. He's better than King, in my opinion. I think Melo is the fourth greatest Knick of all time, behind Ewing, Reed, and Frazier in that order. If I'm ranking the best Knicks of all time, it's Patrick Ewing 1, Willis Reed 2, Walt Frazier 3, Carmelo Anthony 4th, and you can pick your 5th. You could say Bernard King. You could say, if you want to go back and say, I'm going to go old school and say Richie Guerin, the shooting guard from the 50s. But, if you want to throw out Walt Bellamy, you can put out other names. You could say, if you want to be crazy and you have a futures pick and Jalen Brunson, whatever you want to do. I'm going 5. I'm going Richie Guerin. But Melo is number 4 for sure. At more, you can go Bernard King at 5. But there's no way Melo's outside the top 5. Absolutely no. And even if he was, you're not just going to retire 4 or 5 jerseys in, 80 years? Why wouldn't you retire this guy's jersey? How could you not? Are you crazy? I mean, it's just nuts to me. The level of, I don't even know what the word is, disrespect, the level of just refusal to acknowledge reality, dismissiveness. That's the word I'm looking for. The dismissiveness with which the New York media and the New York Knicks fan base treats Carmelo Anthony's time here is outrageous. The only other thing in New York sports that sort of compares to it to me, New Yorkers have a history of doing this stuff. So there's probably a few of these where they're just dismissive of basic facts. The basic fact was Alex Rodriguez was an incredibly productive Yankee for a really long time that pretty much won them the 2009 World Series. That's the reality. But Yankee fans won't acknowledge most of that. The reality of the matter is that the New York Mets absolutely would not have been in the 2006 playoffs and been a front runner to win the World Series without Carlos Beltran. But they won't give him credit for being the great Met that he was. Oh, no. He held that bat up. He didn't swing. Right? New York fans have a history of doing this type of stuff, of obfuscating entire years, sometimes a decade or more of sustained excellence and greatness because of some stupid thing. So what's Melo's problem? What? Oh, well, we shouldn't have traded all those guys to get him. He would have come here in the offseason. We don't know that, first of all. And who are those guys? Second of all, are you upset about Timothy Mozgov? Are you mad about Raymond Felton? He weighed 400 pounds when he retired? Are you upset about Wilson Chandler? Are you really that broken up about Danilo Gallinari? These are the guys you traded. Yes, they're all okay, good players. And yeah, they were a cool little unit, but you honestly think you were going to get better? You were going to achieve more with that group than what you achieved with Carmelo and his group? No way. And that's why a lot of Knicks fans, because they're like, oh, we could have just signed him. Well, first of all, you don't know that. The Lakers could have just signed Paul George in the 2017 offseason, whatever that was. They could have traded for him ahead of time, but no, they didn't trade for him because, we could just sign him. We're not going to make the same mistake. And what happens? He signs with Oklahoma City. Just because the guy says he's going to go somewhere. You know what? There's this weird thing that people do sometimes. It's called lie. You never heard of it? People do it every once in a while. They lie, especially when you're negotiating contracts and money. You're not going to play all your cards. You're not going to put everything on the table. And even if you do, people aren't necessarily going to believe you. They shouldn't. So, like, what are we talking about? Of course, Carmelo Anthony should have his jersey retired by the Knicks. Now, the Nuggets thing is an interesting story. Now, the Nuggets, you could argue he had his best years there. He probably did, but he had a bunch of really great years with the Knicks, too. He basically split his prime between the two. Maybe a little more prime with Denver than New York, but pretty close to 50-50. But you see, Denver's a different story. Him and Jokic happen to wear the exact same number. And it's pretty clear Jokic is every bit as good and better than Melo was and is going to be the defining player, barring an injury or some unforeseen circumstance, of this team's history. So if you retire the number 15, whose is it? So that's a different kind of scenario. I mean, you could theoretically retire it for both guys and do a split jersey if you wanted to. But the Knicks have no excuse. Retire this guy's jersey number. I mean, let's stop with the nonsense. Are we crazy? Of course you're going to retire this guy's number. How wouldn't you? How wouldn't you? All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Mets on a roll all of a sudden. Seems that Buck Showalter didn't forget how to manage after all. That's next. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
Coffee lovers, Middletown is now officially home to the home run of our favorite beverage, Days Coffee. Days' patented blend contains approximately 85% less caffeine than other coffees, which makes it better for you, yet unlike decaf coffee, still gives you that great pickup and tastes amazing. Formulated by a retired cancer pathologist, Dr. Grant Lee, Days Coffee is fermented with a patented enzyme that until now required a complex and thus expensive sourcing and production process. With Dr. Lee's formulation, this enzyme's great health benefits can now be brought to your cup quicker, easier, and cheaper than ever before. Here's how you get a hold of this game-changing cup of joe. Go over to RadioOnlyDeals.com and get a $4 gift certificate to Days Coffee for just $2. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com to buy your single-use digital gift certificate for Days Coffee. RadioOnlyDeals.com. That's RadioOnlyDeals.com. Enjoy the preferred coffee of the Gary Ayd Show. Enjoy Days Coffee.
All righty, we are back, and the New York Mets are back after being pretty much horrendous for a long time. They are all of a sudden winning again. And leave it to the Mets to make no sense. Leave it to the Mets to lose games and series they should win, and win games and series they should lose. Because of course they would. They're the Mets. That's what they do. Justin Verlander outpitched Shane Bieber 2-1 to beat the Guardians. And Max Scherzer had a great game the game before. All of a sudden, the Mets are winning games. They're beating Tampa. They're beating the Guardians. But they lose to the Rockies. They get swept by the Tigers. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Reds. They lose 2 out of 4 to the Nationals. But then they beat the Rays 2 out of 3. And now they've beaten the Guardians 3 times. It was supposed to be a 4-game series, but we have rain problems. They're playing the Cubs tonight. Make it make sense. I will say this though. They're now 2 games over 500 again, 25-23, 5 back of Atlanta. And this idea that somehow they weren't going to figure this out. Somehow that Buck Showalter didn't know how to manage anymore. I mean, that's crazy. Now, people will say, well, why didn't he call up the kids sooner? He probably has his reasons, right? I mean, look, they've been a big difference. They've definitely helped. No question about it. But I'm not going to doubt Buck's managerial acumen or his logic or his motivation. I'm not going to do that. I think there's a very good chance that he knew what he was doing and waited as long as he waited for a reason. And he doesn't necessarily owe us an explanation of that reason. We would like one. It'd be nice. It'd be cool. We're not owed it. So, anyway, it's good to see the Mets winning again, playing well. It's nice to see. It really, truly is. And I just wish we would leave people who are proven alone. Let's leave Buck Showalter alone. Let's leave Tom Thibodeau alone. Leave these guys alone. They know what they're doing. They've known what they're doing for a long time. Just let them be. I don't need to be second guessing Buck Showalter. I don't need to be second guessing Tom Thibodeau and saying, well, we need to get rid of Thibodeau so we can get this guy. No. It's not necessary. It's really not. So, anyway. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Hour 2, Rich Anselmo joins us for it. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave. Alrighty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show, hour 2 here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com and the Cave Talk Radio app. It's great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo. And, before we get into the top 5, Rich, I was talking about the retirement of Carmelo Anthony. And specifically, I was talking about his place in Knicks history and the seemingly absurd but very real two-sided debate about whether the team should retire his jersey number. And this was my thing. There is almost no sound argument you can make that Carmelo Anthony is not one of the 5 best players in Knicks history. But even if you stretch it to the point of ridiculous and say
I can make the argument.
Let's say he's 7th or 8th. I mean, you still can't not retire his jersey. What are you just gonna retire one jersey? You could be like the Mets. The Mets have retired like 2 jerseys in their history. I mean, like it's borders on ridiculous. I mean, to me, there's 3 guys that are clearly better. There's Ewing, there's Frazier, there's Reed. Fine, got it. You want to say King was better? I would argue. I think they're basically the same guy. I think Melo was healthier a little longer, but fine, we can go with King. Beyond that, what are we talking about? Richie Guerin? Or we're going to talk about
Monroe.
He was there for what? 3 years? 2 years? Long. Your time as a Knick matters too. When I think of Earl Monroe, I think of the Bullets. You know what I mean? Like that's a factor too.
And I'll put DeBusschere above.
I think of, DeBusschere is like 50-50 Knicks and Detroit. I think Melo's better than DeBusschere.
No, he's more Knicks.
Okay, and that's fine. And I just think Melo's better than him.
Okay, we differ.
The bottom line is, even if we differ on 1 or 2, there's not a lot of guys who have been more important and more a significant star attraction to the Knicks. And more to the point, he's the only star attraction they've had in a quarter century.
True.
So,
I will not argue the point with you that whether he deserves to be done or not. It does. I will argue with the point I'd rather see the Nuggets retire his number because Knicks fans are jerks.
Well, you know what's funny about the Nuggets? I'm glad you brought that up.
Knicks fans don't deserve Melo's retirement.
I don't disagree with you there, but you want to hear something funny about that? I'm glad you brought up the Nuggets. This is weird. Probably without question, the 2 best players in franchise history, 2 of the 3 for sure, along with Alex English, are Carmelo Anthony and now Nikola Jokic. Guess what? Jokic and Anthony wear the same jersey number. So when you retire 15, are we going to do a split name on it? Is it going to say Yanthony, Yokany, or are we going to say Antherich? Like,
no, I didn't even think of that.
I just saw this online yesterday. That's actually what made me think of this topic. Was like, you know what? The Knicks need to do it because I don't know what you do if you're Denver. Can you retire the same jersey number for 2 people? I guess you can. I don't know if it's ever been done before anyplace. I know Kobe had 2 different numbers retired with the same organization. But yeah,
I can't stand the fan base.
Oh, I don't disagree with you at all. And that's kind of my point, is like the argument that he shouldn't have his jersey retired, I think stems from this boring old argument that they shouldn't have traded for him because they were going to sign him in the offseason. First of all, you don't know that. The Lakers thought they were going to sign Paul George in the offseason, and he signs him in all places, cow country in Oklahoma City. When you get a chance to get a guy like that, you get him. And second of all, they didn't exactly trade away a shining bounty of King Midas's silver to get him.
Not really. They gave up Gallinari in pieces.
Right. They gave up Gallinari and some guys. Wilson Chandler and Moskov and Felton. Like, they're all okay players. I'm not saying they're not useful players, but I'm not gonna miss any of those guys. So, like, come on. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, anyway. Yeah, so I know Brett, our buddy Brett, was commenting on my take on this earlier. So anyway,
Yeah, it's not my. Like I said, I'm not making the argument they shouldn't do it.
Right.
I'm making the argument Knicks fans don't deserve it.
I mean, I get that. I mean, because that, and I don't disagree, because if they do it in New York, the Knicks fans aren't gonna handle it the way they should. They're not gonna appreciate it the way they should.
Of course not.
And so to your point, that's exactly your point. You're right. Because they're just miserable. Like they traded their whole roster since they lost to the Heat, and they fired 3 coaches already. Do you know that? They fired 3 coaches already. It's like, guys, chill. Like, you haven't been good in 20 years. Well, 11 years. You haven't been really good consistently in 25. Like, you just had your best season in over a decade. Like, let's maybe not fire the people and trade the people that achieved that. It's just a thought. Crazy lunatics. They're crazy. I mean, like,
they are. You could win the title and there'd be people bitching.
Well, and you know what's weird about this, Rich, is because I'll be 38 this week, Friday. Because I'm only that age, I remember the 90s Knicks, but I was a kid, right? Especially the early 90s, like 94 team, I was like 9 years old. By 99, I was approaching high school. I kind of knew what was going on. But like, I've never known the Knicks to really be good, like as an adult. So I just kind of didn't realize the depth of the psychosis that would overtake the Knicks fan base in the wake of a successful year. I'm actually surprised by this because I've never experienced it before, because it's never been good before. They had one surprise year and everyone was kind of, I remember in 2012, people were kind of happy about it. But then they still wanted to trade Melo. They still didn't like Melo. They still wanted Woodson fired halfway through the next year. But like, this is like different, man. They want to fire Tibbs. They want to trade Randall. They want to trade Barrett. They want to get back Porzingis. Why? When we watched the Porzingis movie before, it doesn't end well. It's like that Barkley commercial when he's talking to the younger version of himself. How many championships am I going to win, old Shuck? Oh, you're going to be surprised. Oh, good. I like surprises. It's like the Knicks. It's like, oh, we're going to win, man. How are we going to win? Oh, you'll be surprised. It's like, hey, you've seen this movie before. We know how the Porzingis thing goes. It doesn't.
Yes, we have.
Really incredible stuff. And I just wish more fan bases would be appreciative of success when they get it. And success doesn't just have to be, we won the title. Having a successful year means getting the most out of your team. And the Knicks got the most out of this team. And by the way, the reason I brought this up today too is as Miami continues to eviscerate Boston, destroyed Milwaukee, the Knicks gave them by far the toughest series in the East. That says even more about them.
A side note to that. Whoever is in charge for ESPN analytics, please fire yourself.
What happened?
The Celtics had a 97% chance of winning that series. Understood. After Miami wins the first 2 games on the road, that went down to a 65% chance. No
way.
It didn't.
No way.
It went down to a 35% chance.
Or less. I mean, you lose 2 games to open a series at home. You're not winning that series.
And then you get eviscerated on the road.
They got owned. Yeah.
And I'm listening to Celtic apologizers. Oh, it's shooting luck. No, it's not. Miami's generating great looks, driving kicks. Everyone's passing. Adebayo had 9 assists in one game. They're relocating. They're beating the Celtics down the floor in transition. Boston, by the second half, looked like they had just given up. And to be honest, I hope Miami just puts them away. Puts them out of their misery. I don't need to watch any more of this.
Oh, they're brutal to watch. There's no question about it. What What's your general take while on the topic of Boston? What's your general take on what we can learn from this playoffs, especially this series? Boston hasn't looked great in the playoffs in general. What can we learn from this series? Remember, they struggled with Atlanta. About the coaching or lack thereof going on with Missoula.
I'm not going to pin this all on him. I know he did last night in the press conference. He said it was his fault. He didn't have them ready to play. Dude, you don't play. They didn't have themselves ready to play. They're pros. He wasn't out there shooting whatever it was. I sent you those this morning.
You did. Yeah, those are some good stats.
I didn't even give you individual players because they all sucked.
Right.
They didn't deserve to have their names mentioned. When your two best players shoot 12 for 35 and are invisible on defense because they don't feel like chasing, which doesn't surprise me about Tatum, it surprises me about Brown. It's pathetic, and it's really sad to say that right now Grant Williams is the player on this team that cares the most.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
And
although I will say this,
is some of this coaching, Gary? Yeah, not all of it. Players still have to play, and it's a players' league. If they don't want to do something, coaches say they just won't do it and get away with it.
right.
That's like I heard a great soundbite when Michael Malone said, when they asked Michael Malone about the action that they're running when the ball goes into Jokic, he says, it's not specific. Once he's got the ball, I want him to make the best decision on the court by using his instincts. He doesn't have to call anything. Players make plays.
Right.
Great players make more plays.
Yep. I mean, the one thing there are a couple things I'll say about this. I think, first of all, let's stick with on the court for a second. You mentioned Grant Williams. He's certainly the one with the most fire. He
did poke the bear.
I want no part of Grant Williams talking smack to Jimmy Butler if I'm part of the Boston Celtics. None whatsoever. I don't even want Jason Tatum doing that. Definitely not Grant Williams. So, and that certainly went about as you'd expect it to have gone. He basically woke up Butler and he ate him. I mean, literally ate him the rest of the game.
Butler loves that stuff.
It's stupid. But at the same time, to your point, Williams is the only one who seems to give a damn. And so you don't want to totally snuff that out either, but it was certainly counterproductive. Now.
Oh, it was. I'm not saying it wasn't.
I know you're not.
I mean, I heard a great quote from Bam Adebayo. He's talking about, hey, you've been friends with Jason Tatum. You've known him since school. You've known him for 10 years. Have you guys talked about anything during this playoffs? He goes, no, this is the playoffs. He goes, I got nothing to say to him.
Right.
He's the enemy right now.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I don't think Boston has that same fire.
I have one other thing to mention about this, and this does go back to the coaching of Missoula. I think, and we've said that all year, at no point this season did Boston feel and look 100% right, except maybe the first couple of weeks of the year. And
they started the first month averaging 120 a game.
Right, yeah, and that was it. And I think that is reasonable to assert at this point that their best basketball was the first month of the year, or the time period closest to when they were last coached by Ime Udoka.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And I think that while Missoula might not deserve all the blame, I think it's a clear downgrade in coaching aptitude and a clear downgrade in the cohesion and consistent productivity of their two best players. And I do put that on Missoula, which is why I think you have to go in a different direction. Although the flip side to
I don't put it on him because he didn't sign up for this.
Well, yeah, he got thrown into the fire, Right. I get that. And then the one thing I was going to say in his defense, the flip side to that is no one has figured it out. Brad Stevens didn't figure it out. Udoka was the only one that did it. And that's why I was so like, ooh, careful with, I know why you're doing it. I sort of understand, but at the same time, careful. It's a very delicate balance he found. It's not easy to replace.
And they could have just done the suspension thing and not let him go.
That would have been the prudent thing to do. Suspend him for the year if you want to, and that should have been the end of it. But whatever.
But then you'll let him go on top of it.
But now,
and they're being badly outcoached right now.
Yes, they're being badly outcoached. Part of that is Spoelstra is obviously really good. Part of it is I think Udoka had a unique ability to get those two to work together. And part of it is Mazzulla was thrown to the fire and probably wasn't fully ready for this.
Right.
So it is a number of factors. But I do think if I'm Boston, because of the coaching free agent class right now, I would call 4 people. I would call Budenholzer. I would call Atkinson. I would call Jay Wright. And I would probably call Nick Nurse. I would call those 4 guys. And I'm not calling Doc Rivers. Although he's the one they'll probably hire.
Probably. But haven't they seen that act before?
Like 10 times? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But he won us a title. Dude, we could have won him more than
100 years ago with Tom Thibodeau as a very key defensive coordinator.
Yes, he built that defense.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, interesting stuff.
It's like I said, I'm not totally behind. Like I said before, he does deserve some of the blame, but definitely not all of it.
Right. No,
and those two guys are back to it's my turn to shoot. That's not a recipe for success.
And neither one of them's making it. Especially
believe
Brown.
it or not, they actually dropped below the Lakers in 3-point percentage.
That's a mess. Speaking of the Lakers.
And that's ridiculous because the Lakers are hitting about 30% this round.
Yeah. Speaking of the Lakers, I got something to say about them. Couple of somethings. Denver and legacies. That's next. We'll talk about it. Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, so I have a lot to say. Believe it or not, I haven't talked about it at all yet about the Lakers series. First of all, let's start with what we've been talking about all year. Denver's amazing. Denver's badass, and unlike the Celtics, who are just bending over and taking it, the Lakers have been in all these games. I think their biggest rate of loss was the last one. They lost by 11. I think the other two they lost by 5. So
Right.
they've not been uncompetitive. The Denver's just better, and Denver is better, and they have been all year. The Lakers were a late running team because of their roster being reconstructed, and I do believe they would have been, we've talked about it, probably a higher seed, probably a 4 seed or a 3 seed had they had this roster all year long. I do believe that, but Denver would have still been the 1 seed, and they're the 1 seed because they're the better team. They are better. They have better athletes. They have a complete roster. The Lakers roster is really good. The Nuggets roster is better. The combination of Jokic and Murray is almost indefensible in the pick and roll. Their role players have really stepped up. KCP, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon have all been excellent. They're making shots. They're just a great team, and the Lakers are losing to a better team. That's first of all. And second of all, like, as it relates to LeBron specifically, his legacy, I'm already seeing all the people rejoice dancing on his grave. I got news for you. He didn't have a grave to dance on. The result of this series had nothing to do with his legacy. His die's been cast. This is gravy. The fact I'm a Laker fan, right? I'm thrilled that we're talking about them in the Western Conference Finals. I don't even care if they get swept. I was not expecting anything close to this type of season this year. I'm thrilled. I'm not mad. We're losing to a better team, and we're not getting killed the way Boston's getting emasculated. They're just losing to a better team. I mean,
it is a far more competitive series.
Yeah, the results are the same. The series records are the same, but the games are close.
Gary, the difference is the two best players on the Lakers are competitive.
Right.
And playing well. The two best players on the Celtics are looking for new pads for the betting.
Oh. Yeah, they're a mess. And yeah, I mean, look, to me, the Lakers might have overachieved a little bit. I think they had a really good first matchup with Memphis. And then they beat a really good, an inconsistent, but of course, legacy Warriors team that has a lot of pride and competitive spunk and a dangerous player in Steph Curry, right? So, but Denver's better, and they've been better all year. It's not surprising to me that Denver's winning the series. Could one of those games have gone a little different and maybe it'd be 2-1 or something? Yeah.
But they didn't.
They didn't. Have the Lakers and particularly LeBron shot really badly, particularly from 3? Yes. But Denver has something to do with that. Denver's really good. And we both know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. We've been talking about Denver for the last 2 years, the two of us. This is a really good team.
And of all the people you went down with, I mean, KCP playing great. I think I sent you something over the weekend about Brown, how he doesn't even need a play run for him.
He's amazing.
He just does all the right things. Yep. We haven't even mentioned Porter.
Yeah, Michael Porter. That's right.
Michael Porter. Yep. Jeez, is he good.
This team is just really, really good. This is a good
team.
And
Porter's not putting up the numbers he did last year. Somebody actually said that. I said, yeah, that's very true. But man, look at the difference in his game.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is right now. I would say since the playoffs started, I've watched all of their series very closely. I thought going into the year, one of Boston, Philly, or Milwaukee would walk away with it. Obviously, I'm going to be wrong about that. But I will say, once the playoffs started and I watched the teams in the playoffs, Denver, to me, is the team I've believed in the most, because not only are they playing great now, but this is how they played in the regular season. Whereas I still have a little piece of me that doesn't trust Miami to the same level I trust Denver, because like I can't just erase 6 months from my memory. I just can't do it. Obviously, I'm like 90% there because I mean, Miami just keeps killing people. But Denver, I trust that 10% more, because this doesn't look like an out of body experience where they got hot for 2 months. It doesn't feel like the basketball equivalent of Daniel Murphy turning into Babe Ruth for 2 months at the right time one year. Like, this feels like this is Denver. Like, I've watched them do this.
Right. But you know, one thing I always say, or at least something I always say that can be repeated on the air.
UConn Jack is
You're
the
o-
best. What?
You're only as good as your next game. Miami is as good as their next game, every game. So to me, I'm not surprised, and I think I told you this before this series. I'm not surprised with anything they're doing.
Yeah, I guess in this series, I'm surprised at how Boston just laid down. I mean, they just quit.
I'm surprised at the ease of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Boston just quit. And but yeah, Denver is they're just poetry in motion. Whereas
Oh, they
Miami
are.
is sandpaper and gritty and gruff, and they're hitting shots right now. They're playing good.
But I'll tell you what, I like the sets Miami runs almost every bit as much as I like the Denver sets.
See, to me, there's a velvetyness and a smoothness about Denver's offense that is next level, and their defense has caught up to their offense. That's what makes them so good this year. The addition of Brown and KCP can't be overstated. Those two guys bring so much to the table.
And the maturation of Gordon helps.
Yep. He's taken on that role too. Porter has matured. We just named 4 guys. Those are 4 D and 3 wings that can guard 2 through 4. And in some cases 1 through 4. Porter, I'm sorry, not
Porter
Porter.
can guard a small 5.
Yep. Porter can guard a small 5. He can guard 2 through 4 easily. In a small 5. Gordon can guard 1 through 4. And Brown could guard 2 through 4. I mean, there's just so much versatility, and Pope can guard 1 through 3. There's so much versatility, and then all of them make their shots. And then, of course, you have the dynamic duo of Jamal Murray's so good. Oh my God, he's good.
He is.
I remember the bubble. I said this guy's every bit as good as Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry, and I was called insane. I'm telling you, he's every bit as good as those 2 guys. This guy is unstoppable. Maybe he doesn't make quite the number of circus shots that Curry does, but he's every bit as dangerous as a scorer.
Oh, he's extremely dangerous.
Oh, and he's just as good as Lillard as far as I'm concerned. And he's younger, of course.
A reporter before this series was talking about LeBron, and they were asking him about the bubble. And, you had your way with Denver. He goes, yeah, but Murray's 100% and matured.
Yep.
He said Joker's got a couple more years experience than he had then. He said, don't think this is going to be easy.
No, I mean, this is a great team. And they're a complete
Plus, they're the only team in it that has yet to win an NBA title, and I kind of like that aspect.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool?
How cool is it that the 8th seed in the NBA is on its way to the finals? I don't think Boston beats them 4 in a row.
No.
And the 8th seed in the NHL East is 2 games away from going to the Stanley Cup, and both teams are in Southern Florida.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about that yesterday. My buddy Mike, who's an announcer. I think it's interesting. And I don't really even know why this comes to my mind, but he's a big hockey guy, and he thinks the same thing at times. It's always weird to me when I think of like Florida, Vegas, and Dallas, and I think of hockey. I mean, it's indoors, so it doesn't matter at all. But it's just a weird thing. Just the same way I feel like about like cold climates and like baseball. Like to me, like Detroit's a weird baseball city for the same reason that Phoenix is a weird place to say, "Oh, I'm playing hockey." It's Arizona. What? I know it doesn't matter. It's indoors, but it's
Well, I'll tell you what, Vegas,
Vegas is
every
another one.
game is like a Vegas show. Every game, the atmosphere is like none other in the league. So I hear people, talking about non-traditional markets, but hey, if you're good, you're good.
That's true. I mean, there's no question about that. All right, we got about 10 minutes or so left. We're gonna have to close this up a little early today. Got to take the wife to work. But I want to finish up with some news and notes and just a quick question for you. So let's take a
Sure,
break. We'll
shoot.
come back
Oh,
and we will ask that next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
So my question, Rich, is if you're Boston, what are you doing in the off season? Like how? Because this is one of those situations where you don't want to overreact either. So, what are you doing in the off season?
I'm not breaking up Tatum and Brown, that's for sure. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't have room. They'll have to get rid of a big contract. I don't know if it'll be smart. I mean, is in the player, not if it'll be intelligent.
Right.
I don't know. It's got to be a put up or shut up for Robert Williams III. Dude, you can be our 10 rebound, 5 block a game guy. Show up, play. Don't disappear. You've had 3 years now. Get it right. A little tough love needs to happen there. You probably will change the coach. I would look at someone that has had success getting 2 players to play together.
Yeah.
And Budenholzer fills that. Nick Nurse fills that. There are people out there that can do the job, but something has to change. It has to change in the main philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the one thing I would like to see from them is, and this ties into Williams. It ties into Horford. I think they need a big man who's a bit more of a threat. I actually think Porzingis would really fit them. He has his drawbacks as a player, but he's an absolute threat as a scorer. And I think
he can block shots.
Right. I think he would really fit them a lot. I think the injury this year to Gallinari took away a weapon that would have made a big difference for them. I don't know that Gallinari, this is where this is hard, because the visual optics of just the way they're getting punked by Miami are so stark and so brutal that you think they need to, all these things we're thinking about, sound like, trying to put one stitch inside a 5-inch gaping hole in someone's stomach. But you have to remember, sometimes a little goes a long way. It's tough not to overreact in a situation like this, because they're getting destroyed. I mean, killed.
They are.
And remember, they struggled with Atlanta, who was, you texted me 2 weeks to go in the season or something, probably the most definition of average in NBA history. They were perfectly average in almost every way.
They were.
And
there is no way that series should have won 6 games.
No. That was troubling to me when it was going on. All right, we got a couple minutes left. What do you got for some news we can use?
Michael Block.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw my message.
Yeah, I couldn't find the
It was in the okay.
Yeah, I couldn't pull it out.
All right, next time I will and send it to you.
Okay.
The guy's a golf teacher, man. $125 a lesson at a country
he's
club.
He's 46 years old, isn't he?
In California. Yeah. If you had a lesson scheduled with him today or tomorrow, he's probably not going to be there.
Yeah, he's kind of in the process of
46 years old. I loved his quote when they told him he'd be playing with McIlroy on Sunday. He said, "Are you kidding me?"
That's awesome.
Par 3, 15th. He dunked a hole in one.
That's amazing.
And he didn't even realize it. And he's like, "Why is McIlroy hugging me?" I mean, it went straight in, no bounce, no anything. You probably couldn't do it again if you tried.
Oh, no. That's one of those 1 in a million type of moments.
He made par on the 18th. He gets a top 15 finish and a check for $300,000. 4 times the biggest check he's ever gotten on the Pro Tour. And he's in another event this year and a couple next. I hear stories like that. They make me happy. This is why so many people play a game.
Yep, that's right.
And, of all days, I mean, poor Brooks Koepka hasn't really won in a couple of years. Well, the PGA didn't let him for a while. But they did this year, and I'm glad. I don't care if he's a live golfer. Let him play.
You know what? Golf needs this guy because, we're losing little bit by little bit. We're losing John Daly, and we need another American hero, man. There's a 46-year-old school teacher, just like the real life rookie, all over again. Because of course that was real.
Oh
life
yeah.
Too. We need these things. Come on, let him win. Let's do it.
We do. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And I just loved that story.
I mean, Daly got a little bit artificial about it. I mean, he was always authentically just like a fat guy who smoked and ate and drank, but he got to playing it up because it became his thing. But this guy is different than Daly, of course. But we want this stuff, man. This stuff is wonderful. You kidding me? Eat it up.
Oh, I know.
Eat it up. No.
Something else interesting. Yeah. If we got a minute.
Yep.
2 games have been played in the conference finals in the NHL, 3 in the NBA for each race.
Yep.
The 2 in the NHL each game went to overtime, and it's the first time in history the first 4 games of the combined conference finals were decided in overtime.
Huh.
Game 3, Carolina at Florida is tonight. Game 4, Nuggets at Lakers is tonight.
There you go.
So we got 2 interesting games.
Let's do it. All right, I'm in. So, well, that does it.
And Scherzer and Verlander. That's all I'm going to end with.
That's all we need. Yeah, absolutely. That was amazing.
Didn't you love it?
Oh, it was tremendous. All right, well, we got to run. We will see you tomorrow. It's Gary Ayd Show here in the cave.